Virgo, a very warm welcome. My name is Drew. This is Modern Tarot. This is a reading for the last couple of weeks of September. I hope you're doing well, guys. All right. Apologies, I didn't get out the September readings as much as I wanted to. I was moving house and it was pretty hectic. There was so much to do, and you know what it's like when you move out and you open cupboards and drawers, and there's all sorts of stuff you've collected, you know, and it's always the last thing that you check, right? And then you got to find homes for them, and you know, but anyway, so yeah, I was really busy and I just didn't have time to. I actually filmed some of them, but just didn't get them out there. But the intent was there, so apologies for that, guys. But anyway, this is a reading all about the last 2 weeks of September 2025. What's around you, how your energy's sitting, what to look forward to, some red flags to watch out for maybe, and hopefully some nice surprises, Virgo. So let's have a look. Some of you might be working, you know, in the spiritual arts, you know, that can take many forms. But High Priestess there, you know, your intuition might be quite heightened throughout the last couple of weeks of September. There she is again, High Priestess. So Virgo, the center of your reading for the last couple of weeks, we've got the Empress in reverse. Watch this energy, okay? You know, you're sensitive souls, Virgo, and you know sometimes you can suffer a little bit from you know a lack of self-esteem. You can be easily hurt because you're sensitive, right? And it's nothing to be. Your sensitivity is your superpower. But just watch out. You know, the Empress in reverse. This is you not loving yourself enough. This is you not holding your head high. This is not feeling attractive enough, and these kind of things, Virgo. So just watch your thoughts around that. Okay. The challenge. King of Wands in reverse. Fire sign might be quite key, but the King of Wands in reverse, he can talk the talk, but can he walk the walk? You know, he might appear being quite mature and then be quite immature. King of Wands in reverse here as a challenge, okay? That's, you know, a bit of playerism. You know, let's face it, King of Wands in reverse. The reason why it's all happening, we've got the Justice in reverse here. Justice in reverse, okay, you know, if we look at that, all right, it's kind of like the major arcana of, you know, the Six of Pentacles, you know, reciprocity, fairness, these kind of things, all right? And so Justice in reverse, the reason why it's all happening is maybe there was some unfair treatment, Virgo, all right, which made you doubt, you know, yourself, your self-esteem and these kind of things, all right? You know, doubting how good you were, how beautiful you were, and all these kind of things, all right? And it might have been someone that was, you know, they came across as very mature, but could they cut it, you know? Recent past, you let go of anything negative, you know, toxicity, drinking too much, partying too much, overthinking, Virgo, you know, toxic relationships, toxic attachment styles, you know, codependency, you know, can be a form of addiction. It's basically the basis of codependency is addiction. All right, addicted to love, addicted to anything. All right, but you let go of that in the past. Your focus right now, some of you have a choice to make, all right, with the Two of Wands here. Some of you might be looking a little bit further afield, but there might be a choice between two things, people, places, and things, two houses to move to, two locations to move to, two companies to apply to. There's a choice to make. It's a focus of yours. I'm going to clarify, so stick around, right? What you don't see coming towards you is the King of Swords in reverse. Watch this character, guys, whoever this might be. Not nice. This is a card of narcissism for me. It's the most narcissistic court card in reverse. King of Swords in reverse. Someone with heavy air in their chart, possibly. Just watch out for this narcissism. Virgo. Your energetic field, Page of Swords in reverse. This came out for Pisces, actually, as their focus. But this is your energetic field. You might be quite curious. You might do a lot of background checks and intel work. You know, you might build dossiers on people, places, and things, Virgo, throughout the last couple of weeks of September. It's kind of like the silent watcher and building dossiers, all right? It doesn't have to be stalkerific. It's not a stalking card, really, depending on what other cards are around it. But your energetic field is gaining your own clarity, doing your own research, all right? And doing it a little bit covertly, I might add. Some of you might be spying on people, all right? Okay, outside influences, moon in reverse. So the moon, in its upright, it talks about illusions, confusion. It's a very spiritual card. That which is seen under the moonlight that you can't see in the glaring sun. It's the subtleties of life. And in reverse, outside influences, it's clarity, all right? So the moon in reverse is you're no longer confused, Virgo. You're no longer in under any illusion, okay? And that's affecting this reading. In your fears, we've got strength in reverse. All right, some of you sometimes will doubt your confidence with strength in reverse here. You've got what it takes, Virgo. You deserve to succeed just like everybody else. Watch your confidence levels, okay? Especially how you view yourself throughout the last couple of weeks of September. But look, healing is the outcome. Three of Swords in reverse. You are healing, Virgo. And you might say, hey, Drew, I've already healed. That relationship ended, or, I didn't feel like they were the one. It was could they man up? Sometimes I was treated unfairly. These kind of things. You're healing, okay, and that takes time. Residual pain can still sit there, even though we've moved on months ago. Just waiting to be triggered in another cluster again. The next bit of pain and heartbreak that comes our way, and life is all about pain, heartbreak, and redemption, isn't it? It's how we learn and how we grow and how we mature. So let's clarify this now and see what's going down for you, Virgo. Last couple of weeks of September 2025. So why is the Empress in reverse there? It could be as simple as some of you just haven't met the one. All you've come across is people that can't really show up, and maybe they act a little bit player-like, and treat some of you unfairly, But you've left that kind of, that toxic, anxious attachments, where we want something so much and we hang on and we kind of like sell ourselves short just to be with people, You've let all that go, Virgo. No time for it. But, the Empress in reverse, just watch that energy. Yeah, look, some of you are disappointed that you haven't met the one, all right? If we're talking about love. Others of you, a situation might have left you feeling less than attractive and all these kind of things, and you found it disappointing. All this could happen throughout the last couple of weeks, okay? King of Wands in reverse is a challenge. Yeah, you just find people that are a bit player-like, that are cocky and full of themselves. You just find that burdensome. So you no longer find it attractive. You've let go of that, the attraction, to bad boys. For a lot of you, you realize that, hey, look, I'm not around just to fill your cup and make you feel good, Mr. King of Wands, or female, all right? I just find that burdensome. Yeah, you look, in the recent past, Virgo, you made major life decisions about, being unfairly treated or things that aren't equal or fair. You've made a judgment call on it. Major life decision with a judgment, major arcana. Two major arcanas, in fact, in that position of the reason why everything's happening. Anything that's unfair, you're being decisive about it and going, you know what, that's not for me. I've left that in the past, I know that it takes time to heal, and I'm not prepared to, go into any games like this with people like this. All right. Some of you might be in environments where you're dealing with quite a lot of narcissistic personality types, people that are in acting and music sometimes, or, those kind of industries, which is highly attractive to narcissists because they love that feeling of power. They love that feeling of being noticed. It boosts their very fragile ego. And, a lot of people work in those kind of industries because they're passionate about film or art or music. And then you get these kind of characters. They're there for the fame and the glory, not the passion of the work itself. So, some of you might be moving into areas where it's highly narcissistic, but you've seen it all before, Virgo. Yeah, recent past, you might have done some, inner work, okay, about codependency, toxic coping mechanisms, all right, which were making you feel less than, like people pleasing, over giving, all these kind of things just to be loved. And you might have done that in secret and not really communicated that to anybody, okay? Which is great. It's like, being your own best friend and being your own therapist, talking to yourself in a positive way and, mantras and all these kind of things and reading books. So your focus is a choice, all right? There's something that you need to choose between, a decision to make, Virgo. And then we've got the Three of Wands. Some of you might be deciding to stay put where you are in a region, country, continent, and you're not looking further afield. Some of you have, narrowed down your options, okay, from 3 to 2. But your focus is a decision to make, and you're losing a bit of hope for some reason. I'll clarify that in a second. What you don't see coming towards you is the King of Swords in reverse, okay? And then the Ace of Wands. Now just watch out for this, guys, all right? So King of Swords in reverse is a card of narcissism, all right? Someone with heavy air in their chart, possibly. And then we've got the Ace of Wands here, which is it's a phallic symbol. It can be a card of, sex-based pleasure, okay? And normally narcissists are great in bed, male or female, because it's their currency, okay? And they base their self-worth on that. So just for some of you, watch out for this kind of character. Now you might say, hey Drew, look, I'm not looking to settle down or anything along those lines. I'm just out there for fun. Then great. But just remember that energy gets energy. And this kind of character, these two cards here together, this is someone that, what's the word? If I clarify this and that card comes out that I'm thinking of, then then it's bang on. But this is someone that is driven by sex, okay? And they're quite narcissistic. So just watch out for that, right? You might spot them coming. Your energetic field, you are going to do the intel work, Virgo, and you are going to spy a little bit. You are going to check people out, and that can be as simple as, you meet somebody brand new, right? On paper, they seem great. You're going to check out their social media. What message are they putting out into the world? How are they coming across on their social media? Making your judgments. Could I fit in with that? Is that for me, that lifestyle, these kind of things? All right. And, you're looking for some kind of divine love. You're looking for something that's pretty special. Okay. And so you're going to be discerning. Outside influences, you've got clarity. Moon in reverse, that's secrets coming to light. And then we've got death in reverse, all right, which is all about a lack of transformation. Something's not quite over. So I wonder, some of you might still be in the healing process. Just remember, when you are still healing, Virgo, you are very prone, okay, or you're like a magnet because you're a little bit fragile, okay, and your confidence levels might be a little bit low. You're fodder for these kind of people. They see that and they feel that and they prey on that predatory behavior, okay? So just watch out for that, all right? Take care of yourselves. That's what I'm saying. You're fearing. Sometimes you lose patience with, this disappointment that you might feel. It might have nothing to do with relationships, guys, but, maybe some of you lose patience with yourselves about, when you get into your disappointment mode, and you lose patience with yourself, all right? So be compassionate with yourself, Virgo. So, the outcome is you're healing and you might feel a little bit impatient, okay? So you're getting over heartbreak and now you're impatient because you actually want something really quite special. Just watch out for these kind of characters, guys. I don't want to be a party pooper here, but this channel is all about healing and growth and healthy, happy relationships, all right? And you've done a lot to let go of toxic, behaviors, people, places, and things. I don't want you to see you undo that work or be prey to this kind of stuff, okay? Just want to take another card on that. Tell me more about this King of Swords in reverse for you, Virgo, last couple of weeks of September. Yeah. This person, okay, that you don't see coming, Virgo, watch out for them. Okay, they might be a little bit borderline personality disorder. Sometimes these people change their name. You know, um, their name might be. Let's take it as a female name. All right, it's just coming to mind now. But their real name might be Alexandra, and but you can call me Lisa, but just nothing to do with Alexandra. If they went, call me Alex. Very often they change their name, or they have pseudonyms and all these kind of things. Or they belong to spiritual practices and they change their name to Krishna. And their real name's Dave. But they might seek out people that are a little bit codependent. All right. So when I've got codependent, all right, which is -10, high on codependency, that needing to be needed, that needing to be loved, that it's a neediness which is coming from childhood, These people smell that and they go to town on that, all right? So just watch that, Virgo. Those of you that are still healing from, codependent traits and these kind of things, which was handed to you by your parents, obviously, or your primary caregivers. It's a very deep subject. I'm not going to go into it, right now. But yeah, just watch out for that. You don't see that coming anyway. But just make wise choices for yourself, guys. Don't be impatient. Don't make choices, emotional decisions. Wait until your emotions settle before you make major decisions. All right. But your energetic field is really good. Okay, so keep up that great work there. You're looking for something quite beautiful and quite special and sacred with the Ace of Cups here, and you're willing to do the intel work on people, vetting people. Just watch out. Like I say to you, these guys, they are master manipulators. Okay, they can pass under the radar. Virgo, if it is about love, throughout the last couple of weeks of September, let's have a look at this. How are we doing time-wise? We're doing all right. If it's a message for love, okay, for those of you that are dating, those of you that are single, those of you that are, just coming out of stuff, you're healing and these kind of things, a message worth waiting for. Divine timing is at work in your love life, Virgo. Back to these cards. Don't be impatient, wanting to put a band-aid on healing. What's it, the rebound situation. You might just open yourself up to these kind of characters, all right? And then it's got free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. Came out in reverse. And then flirt. Extend your light-hearted energy to others. So, some of you are healing. Flirt. It doesn't always have to be sexual, guys. It's just being light-hearted and playful. Always have one foot in the wisdom well, Virgo. Do the intel work, with the Ace of Cups there. That's a really pure energy. It's a nice energy. And, see through this facade of, Dave, who calls himself Krishna. These kind of things, all right? But yeah, worth waiting for. Don't be in a rush, okay? When it comes to your love life, all right? Great love, is worth waiting for. So, don't settle, Virgo. That's what it's saying, all right? You deserve great things because you're coming with a fantastic energy, okay? And you're sensitive souls, right? So let's have a look. Something to consider throughout the last couple of weeks of September. Something that might be key in your healing, key in taking you forward, key in helping you make what seems to be some kind of a decision you need to make. Let's have a look. That can be as much as, some of you might be being very decisive now about what you want to do. You're no longer homesick, maybe you're out of state, different countries, different continents, these kind of things. You're getting more decisive. Although you haven't made decisions, you're starting to narrow down your options. Passion, desire, fun, fulfillment, and joy. Some of you might decide to go down that road, with the King of Swords in reverse and the Ace of Wands. It's like, all right, I'm not going to get my heart invested in this. I'm just going to have some fun. And that's okay, but just protect yourselves, all right? Heart chakra. Okay, color green might be really significant. So much green here. So the heart chakra, you might, it's about opening the heart and these kind of things. You might be feeling very loving, okay? And gut instincts, use your intuition, 1 foot in the wisdom well, Virgo, at all times, okay? If something seems off, it probably is, okay? And we've got intuition, knowing, sensing, and trust. Trust yourself to make decisions, Virgo. Don't lose hope, okay? Let's have a look. I just want to clarify that with one more card there. I use a different deck I use this Aquarian deck. What is this? This is your focus, like trying to make a decision. What is this about? And then we've got the King of Cups here. Interesting set of cards, guys. Your focus. Some of you might be making a decision to let someone go overseas, or long distance with the Three of Wands there. It can talk about overseas. And then we've got the King of Cups here. I'm just wondering, you might be making some kind of decision, Virgo, that you've lost hope in, but you still have affection for somebody. The King of Cups there. Let's have a look at that. Tell me more about this. No, I have to take this. Tell me more about this King of Cups, okay? What is this about for you, Virgo? Why are you focused on that? They didn't want to come together. Maybe this is something that hasn't come together. Or lack of coming together. Virgo. I want you to move on. I don't want to repeat things. Okay, so some of you guys, your focus might be making a choice, all right, to let go of something, even though you still have affection for somebody. Either that person wants you to move on or you want them to move on. You don't want to repeat things. So some of you might be, going, moving out of town, these kind of things, and leaving it all behind and healing. Just watch out what's coming your way, this King of Swords. It's a bit worrying for me as a reader, But your energy's great, okay? You're doing the intel work and you're looking for something pretty special, Virgo. Where's it going to go now? If you're a song, okay, the lyrics might mean something, the band might mean something, the words might mean something. Just the melody might evoke certain feelings, or there might be a subliminal message in the lyrics for you, right? Give it a listen to it. If it's not your genre, dump it, okay? But music can be powerful sometimes. Virgo, don't think by no doubt. Whatever that might mean for you, don't think by no doubt, okay? An old song. Gwen Stefani, was it? One of these, positive message to love you and leave you with, Virgo. Not a bad reading, some of you are healing, you've got great energy, you might be very heart-based, but don't forget your intuition, gut instincts. If something's off, Virgo, it probably is. Vet people, especially King of Swords type of energy here, I think really what it's saying, this reading for me, for those of you don't see these characters coming to you, whoever this might be, for my female viewers, it could be someone fairly narcissistic, okay? And they seek out people that they smell codependency. Journaling. Write down your feelings. This will help you release anger, confusion, and self-doubt. So some of you, pick up the pen, get your journals out and journal. You don't have to read it again. But as soon as you release it from the mind and overthinking, that ruminating thoughts, and you put it on paper, it's a release. Now we can open up new neural pathways for new creative ideas and thoughts. Okay, so journaling might be key, Virgo. And surrender. Trust that the universe, God, however you frame your belief system, is working behind the scenes for you. Your manifestations will materialize when you truly surrender, Virgo. And there was a card there, when it came to love, it's worth waiting for. Don't be impatient, Virgo. You might want it, okay, but be careful what you're choosing. Certainly don't do it to put a band-aid on your feelings. Go there with your feelings, honor them. I still feel hurt. Great. Now you've labeled it. Go deeper with the 72 human emotions. Improve your emotional vocabulary. Instead of saying I feel hurt, I feel abandoned, I feel unattractive, I feel, you fill in the dots, right? But now you're getting very, very clear emotionally, and your emotional vocabulary is expanding. Most people say, "Oh, I feel like shit," or "I feel great," or "awesome," but it's much deeper than that, because there's like a layer within the mind, right? So, Virgo, I think that's about it. I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Drew. This is Modern Tarot. If you like the content, please like, share, or subscribe. It means I can continue to do this for free for you. If you want a personal reading, you can reach out on moderntarot.net directly, or browse the YouTube Modern Tarot store, and I'll do my best to give you some clarity on your personal situations. In the meantime, Virgo, look after yourselves. One foot in the wisdom world, open your heart, but trust your intuition, all right? And you're good to go. Have an amazing last 2 weeks of September. See you soon.